Hello there, grade 7 learners. Welcome back to our Math O'Clock lessons, wherein for today's lesson, we will be having this decimal form to fraction form. Last time, you have learned about converting rational numbers from fraction form into decimal form. So we will be doing the reverse of that at this lesson. So are you ready? All right, okay. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to express rational numbers from decimal form to fraction form. This time, we are given the decimals and we are going to convert it into its fraction form. So, when converting decimal to fractions, just follow the following steps. Step 1, write down the decimal divided by 1, like this. Okay, so you are going to write the decimal, then you are going to write 1 as the denominator. And then for the step 2, multiply both top and bottom by 10 for every number after the decimal point. But it depends on how many digits are there, okay? So if you have one digit, you are going to make use of 10. If you have two digits in the decimal part, you are going to use 100. If 3, 1,000, so on and so forth. And most importantly, step 3, simplify or reduce the fraction into its lowest term. All answers must be written in lowest term or else you will be marked wrong. Okay? So let us now try this skill by doing the first example. So for the first example, we have expressed 0.75 to fraction. So the decimal is 0.75. Now, we are going to do the step 1. So for step 1, we are going to write down 0.75 and then you write 1 as the denominator. So 0.75 will serve as the numerator and 1 will be the denominator. Okay? So I think we are clear on that. We will be moving on to step 2. So for step 2, we are going to multiply both top and bottom by 100. But why 100, ma'am? Because how many digits are there in the decimal part of our given? Let us count. Okay, 7, 1, and then second is 5. So how many digits do we have? So we have 2. Therefore, we are going to make use of 100 as multiplier. So we will multiply 0.75 by 100. So 0.75 times 100, the answer is 75. 1 times 100, the denominator. 1 times 100 is 100. So we will be having, or the resulting fraction is 75 over 100. So we are now done with step 2. We will now proceed with step 3, which is the most important. So we are going to simplify the fraction. How are we going to simplify the fraction 75 over 100? Okay, so we are going to make use of GCF, or the greatest common fraction. So what is, or what do you think is the greatest common factor of 75 and 100? So the greatest common factor of 75 and 100 is 25. So we are going to divide both the numerator and denominator by 25. 75 divided by 25 is equal to 3. 100 divided by 25 is equal to 4. So the resulting fraction is 3 over 4. Now the question is 3 over 4 in its lowest term? Alright, 3 over 4 is already simplified, or in its simplest form. Therefore, 3 over 4 is the final answer. That means that 0.75 is equivalent to 3 over 4. By the way, if you have difficulties in identifying the greatest common factor, you may start with the smallest number that you think is divisible for both the numerator and denominator. Say, for example, for 75 over 100, you can make use of 5 instead of 25 first, and then slowly break down the fraction, if that makes you comfortable. Okay? Just make sure that you are going to arrive with a fraction in lowest term. So let us try another example. Okay, so the next example is 2.35. So we are going to express 2.35 to a fraction. So we have to, how are we going to do that? So as you can see, it is quite different with the previous example because we have 2, or the whole number part, which is 2. Okay? So how are we going to do that? The first thing that you are going to do is to put the 2 aside and just work on 0.35. Okay? Let us set aside first 2, and later on we will go back, or we will bring it back. Okay? So let's work on 0.35. So again, the first step, oh, sorry. So that is 0.35, okay? The numerator is 0.35, sorry. So 0.35 divided by 1. So write it on that 1. And then 0.35 over 1 times 100 again. Why 100? Because you have 2 digits in the decimal part. 2 is not included, okay? So we will just count 3 and 5. So we have 2 digits. So we will multiply both the numerator and denominator by 100. So 0.35 times 100, the answer is 35. 1 times 100 is equal to 100. Now, step 3. Simplify the fraction by dividing their GCF. What do you think is the greatest common factor of 35 and 100? Do you have difficulties in identifying the GCF? Let's start with the smallest one, which is 5. Okay, let us assume that 5 is the greatest common factor. So we are going to divide both numerator and denominator by 5. 35 divided by 5, that is 7. 100 divided by 5, that is 20. Now the question is 7 over 20 already in its simplest form? Yes? Okay, why yes? Because we do not have other factors or common factors for 7 and 20 aside from 1. So therefore, 7 over 20 is already in its simplest form. Is 7 over 20 the final answer? All right. So that is not yet the final answer. Always remember that we have set aside 2 a while back. So we have to bring it back. So just write 2 before the fraction. So therefore, the answer is 2 and 7 over 20. Or the fraction form of 2.35 is 2 and 7 over 20. Quite easy, right? Let us try a quite difficult one. Okay, so we have example 3 wherein the task is we have to change 0.22222 into fraction. We have a repeating decimal. So how are we going to convert a repeating decimal? Step 1. Identify the repeating digit. So what is the repeating digit? Or what number is repeated? Alright, the repeated number is 2. Let's proceed to step 2. Count the number of repeating digit. So how many are repeating digit? Ma'am, 3. No, that is not 3. We only have one digit which is repeated, which is 2. Okay? Again, there is only one repeated digit. And for number 3, write the numerator and the denominator using the rule below. So for the numerator, that is equal to 2. Why 2? Ma'am, where did you get 2? 2 is from the repeated digit. Numerator should be the repeated digit. Okay? So as we can see, the repeated digit is 2. And for the denominator, how many digits are repeated? Okay, so we have only one repeated digit. So the number of repeated digit corresponds to the number of 9 that we are going to write in the denominator. So since we only have one repeated digit, we will just write 1, 9 in the denominator. I'll repeat, the number of repeated digit will correspond to the number of 9 that we are going to write in the denominator. So, the answer is 2 over 9. Okay? By the way, 0.2222 or the repeated decimal 0.2222 can also be written as 0.2 with a bar above. So if you can see a number with a bar above it, that means that the number is repeating. Okay, let's try another one. Change 1.35 bar or 1.35353535 into fraction. Again, we have a repeating decimal. Okay? Now, take a look. How many digits are repeated? Or how many digits are there in our decimal part? And as you can see, we have there the bar sign, which means that the number is repeated. So let's have step 1. But since we have the whole number part, we have to put aside the whole number part muna for the meantime. So we have example 4. Step 1, identify the repeating digit. So what is the repeating digit? The repeating digits are 3 and 5. So these are the numbers under the bar sign. Okay? 3 and 5. So if the repeating digits are 3 and 5, how many digits are repeated? Very good. So we have 2 repeated digits. Okay? Again, the repeating digits are 3 and 5, and we have 2 repeated digits. Now, for the numerator, we are going to write 35, and for the denominator, we are going to write 2 nines. Why 2? Because how many digits are repeated? We have 2 repeated digits. That's why we are also going to use or write 2 nines in the denominator. Okay? So for our final answer, 35 over 99 is not yet the final answer because take note that we have 1 a while back. So the fraction form of 1.35 bar is equal to 1 and 35 over 99. Is that clear, dear learners? Okay, so I hope that you have learned a lot with this lesson. I congratulate you for passing or for unlocking another difficulty with this week's lesson. I hope you've learned a lot today. We will see each other for our next video. Goodbye and God bless.